Donkey Kong, don't fret. Just because you're a klutz with junk mail doesn't mean you're worthless. Or does it? Welcome, my dear viewers, to History of Super Mario Bros. Season 5.
Come on Luigi, come on Mario, let's go for an adventure. Sun or rain or sleet or snow, it don't matter the weather, they're just two best friends. Two plumbers like superheroes, but a little dumber, always looking out for the others. They're the stupid Mario Brothers.
Okay, so after Season 4, I was at a crossroads of sticking around for the final season. I came up with battle plans for Season 5 known as the Battle for Mario Brothers' House, also known as the Masterson Offensive, in which Scott Masterson would command a Sprite Army offensive on Mario's house. I requested to have them look it over and consider it. That request was denied. Now, the way that request was denied was such a discouraging blow that I was on the verge of quitting RMA. I even took my then costume at the time and practically threatened to quit and take Yoshi out of the show altogether. It took Chris's efforts to talk me into staying for the final season. Obviously I did, but I guess I still felt like MacArthur putting up with Truman during the Korean War. I'll talk more about what I had in mind for Season 5 in a different video, but right now let's get down to Season 5. Season 5 begins with Darkness returning to his base. We're introduced to the General, played by me. Darkness reminds the General that he told him to build an army. The General assures him, also noticing that his hair has changed.
Yes, I was told that red was not in this year.
Was that before or after fans made jokes about your hair and makeup last season? Anyway, General assures Darkness that he set up an army of pirates. Wait a minute, I thought he asked him to set up an army, not a navy. Mario, Wario, and Mona fight the ninjas in the field. Okay, at least this time the ninjas live up to being some kind of foot soldiers. The keyword is some, mind you. Mario uses his lightsaber and cuts through them like butter. About time, Mario. Noxdesius shows up to challenge Mario. Noxdesius reveals to Mario that Merlin was killed off. Mario doesn't believe him, but can't help but wonder if he's actually telling the truth. Meanwhile, Luigi takes on Bowser, not played by Josh Kling, but by Austin Stevenson. The reason for this was because Josh Kling moved out of state and was unable to return for the final season. So with a brief explanation from Kamek, the problem was solved.
I made a deal with Ganon. He's gonna help me take complete control of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Wait a minute, doesn't Bowser already have complete control of the Mushroom Kingdom? I mean, sure, there's no implication of Peach being held captive again, but as far as we know, if Peach is no longer in the Mushroom Kingdom ruling it, and Bowser has control of the castle, doesn't that already mean he controls the kingdom?
But Mario, my kingdom!
Bah! It was Bowser's kingdom 95% of the time anyway!
And if that's true, doesn't that kind of nullify his reasoning for joining up with Ganon? It'd make a lot more sense if Ganondorf said to Bowser, Bowser, my compliments. You've conquered the Mushroom Kingdom. In exchange for an alliance in conquering this world, I shall protect your interests after the war. Lots of countries tend to make that kind of offer. Germany in World War I offered to protect Belgium's interest if the Germans were allowed to pass through Belgium unmolested to invade France. Now, obviously, Belgium's king at the time turned it down, but you get the idea.
And what about your political plans? Or how about your economic plans? And what are you going to do about the decreasing value of the mushroom?
Decreasing value of the mushroom? I thought Mario characters used coins as currency. Hell, in Super Mario Sunshine, you used blue coins to purchase shine sprites. Get it right next time, Luigi.
That's what I thought. Bowser, you're nothing but a stooge with some very serious emotional and anger problems. And some height issues.
There you go, now you're well spoken, Luigi. So Bowser summons some ninjas to fight Luigi and withdraws. Fortunately, Donkey Kong and Ness show up and they even the odds. Elsewhere, Solid Snake makes his way into the house of Tommy Vercetti? Oh, for God's sakes, I am so sick to death of these cop-out revivals. This officially makes the Max Payne solution last season entirely pointless. And it's made no better by the fact that Gary and Brock are shoehorned into this season again. God help me.
Who the f*** are these idiots?
Okay, I have to admit, that was legitimately funny. Mario and Decius continue their lightsaber fight. Despite slapping Decius' saber from his hand, he just hesitates, making it all the easier for the ninjas to lock onto him. Hey, Mario, here's a thought for you. If you ever manage to disarm an enemy, especially one like Decius, don't hesitate to kill them. At least lunge at him or something. Don't just stand there and let the enemy take you by surprise. Go on the offensive. It's a war, for God's sakes. It's kill or be killed, damn it.
We're going to hold on to him by the nose, and we're going to kick him in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of him all the time, and we're going to go through him like crap through a goose.
Decius lets Mario go because Ganon wants to kill Mario for himself and just walks away. Wow, who'd have thought both combatants would be completely stupid in warfare? And they get progressively dumber in that regard. Oh, figures. 1 second you're holding your own against ninjas, then you're down, and now you're up again as if nothing happened. So Mario informs them that he sent Yoshi to spy on the enemy. Now, you could argue that Mario was using Decius as bait for Yoshi to find their hideout, but really it didn't have to be Decius, as we'll see later. You could have just used any random ninja for all we care.
Whatever. Now where can a Dark Lord take a Dark Dookie?
What was that?
Finally, a bathroom joke that works. And savor this one while you can, because this is a one-hit wonder in terms of bathroom humor being done right in Rich Alvarez. I do like the idea of Yoshi doing something more than just, being there and carrying people on his back, because by that time I had had enough of that. Luigi, Ness, and Donkey Kong have thwarted the ninjas, forcing Bowser to withdraw back to Ganon's base.
And I said ass earlier!
Right, so I'm not gonna listen to a hypocrite.
Ness. Okay.
It's about frickin' time someone told Luigi this. Solid Snake shoots Tommy Vercetti. What was the point of reviving him exactly? Oh, that's right, there was no point.
So stupid.
Snake returns to the group but suddenly suffers a heart attack.
No. He's dead.
Mario, your alter ego is Dr. Mario. You should know full well that you can't feel a person's pulse with those kind of gloves on. But this was entirely pointless because in the next episode, Solid Snake wakes up alive and young again. Snake is greeted by Naomi Hunter, played by Shannon Kiley, who gave him the cure in the nick of time. She explains that she was in South America working on a vaccine for foxdie. She points out that the reason Snake ages isn't because of foxdie, it's because of the fact that he's a clone. So this is essentially Richie's way of saying that contrary of him calling himself a big Metal Gear Solid fan, he f***ed up on Metal Gear Solid Mythos in Season 4.
All you did was download the ROMs anyway. You can hardly call yourself a real fan.
So Naomi gives Snake some pills to help suppress the aging process. Mario and Luigi go over their progress of off-screen battles that we don't give a rat's ass about. Ryu shows up saying that he took care of the ninjas in the city.
My guess is Ganon won't be sending any new troops there.
He has no need to. He realizes that he can't take over cities and towns until he takes care of us first. This is our only advantage.
Yeah, I call bullcrap on that because Ganon at any given moment could attack cities and homes and gain sustenance from captured ground to supply his troops. He, just for no real reason, decides not to until after defeating Mario. In my idea for Season 5, the explanation for it was going to be capture Mario's property to have a key advantage over our heroes, sort of like capturing Vicksburg, Cannes, or even Bastogne. The problem with this season is that, like last season, it has a lot of missed opportunities, but I'll get into more about those later. Mario, Luigi, and Ryu are concerned why Link isn't here despite Ganon being in the real world. Snake goes over stealth with Luigi, Ness, and Donkey Kong. First off, Snake, you suck at stealth. Moving around in plain cardboard boxes in military bases does not make for good stealth. You might as well paint a bullseye on that thing while you're at it, because doing it that way is going to equal this. See what I mean? So then Ryu gives the other stealth lessons. Since when does a Street Fighter, coincidentally from the game Street Fighter, know anything about stealth? Luigi meets up with UPS.
Yes? You've delivered packages to us, sang in our band, helped us defeat bad guys? I asked you here today. Should I go on?
Well, what do you know? Luigi does know what Brown can do for you. He calls on UPS to have him deliver a flash drive to Professor Oak.
I need you to deliver this flash drive to Professor Oak. It contains all of the information we've gathered on the enemy. He should be able to come up with a good strategy.
Is there an address on this thing? Is it even legible? Is there even a stamp on this thing? Because you do realize it's a federal offense to send something through the mail without a stamp, right? Meanwhile, Ganon talks with his fighters, consisting of Bowser, Noxdesius, Scott Masterson, FedEx, Zubashi, Blair, and Pauline, both of whom just revive purely for the sake of being revived. Ganon just exposits a bunch of stupid plans and hollow promises. Yoshi spies on them and leaves to inform Mario and the others. Ganon allows for Yoshi to leave unmolested, saying it's all part of his plan, and finally shows his face, and boy does that makeup look sloppy. As much as I like Matt Provenzel, especially as an actor, I feel him as Ganondorf just doesn't do it for me. With all due respect, I think this was the biggest miscast in this show. Now, before Season 5, some fans felt I should have played Ganon, and while I'm flattered by that, I actually felt Brad Oliver, the guy who played the rapper in Interactive Adventure and the Kung Fu Sensei in Smashing Stuff Returns, I felt he should have played Ganon. I mean, he's taller than me, he's got the right build, the fans would have loved to have seen him do more, and it would have worked to the show's advantage, whereas Matt's performance doesn't do it for me. It just comes off as him bouncing back and forth between blatant knockoffs of Voldemort and Palpatine.
Right. That's right.
If you're gonna base a performance off of someone else's for a character like Ganon, at least use one that's not commonly known to this young a fan base. I could think of better actors to base Ganon's performance off of. Charles Laughton, Claude Rains, Basil Rathbone, Edward G. Robinson, Robert Duvall, Orson Welles, and George C. Scott. Now, I'm not saying Ian McDiarmid and Ray Fiennes are bad actors, I'm just saying they're too familiar to this young generation. Now, on the other hand, how many people of this young a generation in SMB's fan base would be well familiar with the old-time actors that I mentioned? Very few. Anyway, in the next episode, General informs Darkness that a large legion of ninjas is on their way. Darkness tells him to prepare for battle and gives Ken a specific order. We cut to Mario, Luigi, and Ness and Donkey Kong waiting for Yoshi to return. He does, but we get one of the most painfully annoying bits in this season.
DK says that...
You know what, Ness? This is pretty annoying. Why do you have to interpret DK's interpretation of Yoshi?
Well, DK can understand Yoshi, and I can't. But I can understand DK, so therefore...
I can understand Yoshi just fine.
Yeah, if Bruce Willis was part of the cast in this particular scene, he'd look at the script and tell Richie to cut the chuffa and cut to the chase. Richie would try to stick to the script, but Bruce Willis would give him the Willis, and Richie would get the Willies and cut the chuffa. This also brings up a continuity error in Donkey Kong. In the first 3 seasons, Donkey Kong had subtitles, and then when they brought him back in Season 4, they dropped it, minus the exception of him saying Pauline was dead. First off, I thought the idea was Donkey Kong had subtitles, Yoshi did not. Well, to be fair, in an Act 2 deleted scene, there was one scene in which Yoshi did speak with subtitles, but since it wasn't included, I don't necessarily count it. But my point is, it irks me that there's no consistency in things like this. It makes me want to tell Richie, make up your mind, damn it. After a while, Mario tries to give some big epic speech with the others standing in a straight line, but it gets botched up by my theory of what you don't do with Solid Snake that I already talked about last time.
So stupid.
Elsewhere, Darkness, General, and Ken walk onto the field and meet up with Zubashi and his band of pajama-wearing Narutards. Darkness summons a group of pirates to clash with the ninjas. UPS runs into FedEx accompanied by ninjas. FedEx tries to act all stupid and petty like he usually is, and for once UPS is mature about it by not fighting. At least until FedEx makes the biggest mistake of his life.
Did I mention that Ace of Base sucks?
You take that back.
No!
What's Ace of Base?
Dude, you've never heard of Ace of Base?
I'm right behind you.
Huh?
Don't you talk about Ace of Base that way.
Wow, imagine what UPS would do if FedEx took a shot at the Beatles or Michael Jackson. So as Darkness and Zubashi's forces clash, they surround Zubashi and Ken knocks him out. Now since Zubashi is Darkness's enemy, why the hell doesn't he take him as a prisoner of war? Darkness could have easily had Ken and General interrogate Zubashi for vital information. It's what you gotta do in a war if you really want to gain the upper hand. But nope, that doesn't even cross his mind. Yet another wasted opportunity, and one that could have made for one funny scene. I would have loved to have slapped Richie in character and threatened to shoot him as the General. That would have been friggin' awesome. Another wave comes in and General whips out his rifle and shoots them. General's about to shoot the last one, but Darkness orders him not to, saying they'll follow him to Ganon's base. So Mario and the others arrive to confront Ganon and his forces. They put up a fight against them, and it starts off looking nice, but its biggest flaw was that they all get their asses knocked out in exactly 56 seconds. What the hell? And Solid Snake, you've got a frickin' handgun for God's sakes. Use that to shoot Blair first chance you get, damn it.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
Mario is the last one standing. Ganon exposits that he sealed Link away in the Dark Realm, which explains why Link isn't present. I'll talk more about that later. Anyway, Mario tries using fireballs, but it has no effect on Ganon. He resorts to unleashing his lightsaber, and as you guessed, it has no effect on him either. Darkness General can show up. Okay, if I might go off on a tangent a bit, some people asked why I was wearing sunglasses in the scene. Well, the day after Christmas I got really sick with some sort of stomach bug, and as a result from vomiting and dry heaping, I had a burst blood vessel in my eye, and it was noticeable at the time. So I had to conceal it, and I wanted to use my John Lennon sunglasses, but Richie and Matt fought against that for some stupid reason. So that answers that. Anyway, General shoots more ninjas. There's a competent fighter for a change! Ganon punches at Mario. Okay, in this, I'm really not buying the whole one punch and it's lights out kind of bullshit. It works perfectly fine in comedies like Charlie Chaplin films, Three Stooges films, and superhero shows, but they don't overdo it, especially in the same episode, mind you. Hell, Almost Heroes satirized that.
Then this is for your own damn good.
How was that for my own damn good?
Sorry, the punch was supposed to knock you out. Let's see here. This here ought to do it.
Ganon orders his men to charge, but Darkness does this.
I was frozen today!
And yet that move would qualify as a MacGuffin technique, or a one-hit wonder, if you will. They fight, but it gets nowhere, and Darkness teleports Mario and the others away to regroup. Mario and Luigi discuss strategy, and Luigi tells Mario that Professor Oak has a plan based on the information he sent in the flash drive. So Mario says he will go to Professor Oak's. I have yet another question of common sense. Why not just simply contact Professor Oak either by phone or codec? It would have saved Mario a lot of time, money, and hassle. Now to be fair, the only way this rationale would have worked is if the enemy severed their lines of communication, ergo forcing Mario to see him in person. But again, there's no implication of that. Not even a throwaway mention of trying to contact him and it not working. If that was the case, then how the hell would Luigi know about Professor Oak having a plan? I swear to God, I fail to see how a well-known scientist that specializes in Pokemon and Pokemon technology could know anything in terms of something that's from the Legend of Zelda franchise, which is a fantasy genre. That's like expecting Hank Hill, who specializes in propane and propane accessories, to know anything regarding astrophysics. This is not the GS ball, damn it. It's a simple, hey, we need to locate and use the Master Sword, damn it. This is where the season really takes a turn for the worse, and it's rife with the most notorious thing any show or movie can do. That's right, folks. Richard Alvarez had the gall to give his own show a lot of bad filler like Naruto. Yes, it happened in Season 4, but I'm putting my foot down right here, right now, because someone's got to say no.
You say no. No, like you're talking to a dog and just peed on your rug. No.
And Richie, just because you're a Naruto fan, it doesn't make it any more excusable to put the worst elements from that show into your own. It's not tongue-in-cheek, it's just grating, and bad filler is one of them. It's made no better by the fact that Gary and Brock are pointlessly shoehorned further into the season. God help me. Sacrifices I make for the fans. In the next episode, we get introduced to another Naruto ninja, Master Gangles, played by Austin Stevenson. I'm sorry, folks, but that has got to be the dumbest name for a ninja I've ever heard. Was that really the best name they could think of? And this raises another question. If he's the quote-unquote master, why the hell is he serving Zubashi? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Zubashi never called himself a master, although I know he's on some stupid power trip since Gangles addresses him as Lord. They talk with Noxdesius, and the plans they have for Ganon are so f***ing stupid.
Ganon wants us to sit still while he prepares the world for suffering. He thinks there's nothing Mario can do.
Hold the phone. If you happen to know that your enemy is doing absolutely nothing and you know where they live, then that's the perfect time to launch a massive assault on them when they're at their weakest. But ordering a standstill? Okay, it's official. If Richard Alvarez and Chris Muller were commanders in a war, we'd all be in body bags within a week. Put me in command, coach, I'm ready. If I may quote Plinkett from his review on Revenge of the Sith, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever wondered how a war would be run by disorganized hippies, here it is. And what makes matters worse is that both sides are a bunch of disorganized hippies, so how can I root for any side if neither one knows what the fuck they're doing? None of their strategies are effective, it's just more pointless filler. Elsewhere, Luigi and Wario talk strategy when darkness shows up.
Well, that aside, it seems you're in quite the pickle and don't know how you could possibly win this war.
Actually, they could if they went to their local library and gave themselves a crash course in military history. It's what any intelligent person would do. I mean, Abraham Lincoln did that at the start of the Civil War, and within a year, he went from having no military expertise to being well versed in military tactics and strategy. And with the help of the internet, it's much more effective than it would have been in 1861. Seriously, that would have made for a great scene, Luigi and Wario giving themselves a crash course in military history. But nope, just another wasted opportunity in this season. Darkness offers to put aside their differences and team up to defeat Ganon.
Sometimes we must all wait a week before we get what we want.
Okay, you know what? I'm getting a little tired of breaking the fourth wall. These people aren't stupid.
If that's how you feel, then don't treat your audience like idiots because, as I said before, stupid costs extra. And this episode ends on an entirely pointless note. Seriously, what was the point of that? In the next episode, they say they'll join forces. Anyway, back on topic, Luigi tells Donkey Kong that he's got to defeat Scott Masterson. Later, we get introduced to the head pirate, Captain Morgan, played by Matt Provenzel. Like Master Gangles, was Captain Morgan really the best name you could think of? I would have suggested Captain Blood. The name alone sounds pretty badass, and since that character was played by Hollywood legend Errol Flynn, what more do you wish?
I'm thief and pirate, and I'll show you how a thief and a pirate can deal. What matters is that now I own you as once you own me. You're mine, do you understand? Mine to do with as I please.
The problem I have with Captain Morgan is that after he's introduced, all he does is sleep until episode 75. So Donkey Kong comes to confront Scott Masterson. Donkey Kong tries talking to him, and Scott Masterson talks a little bit about his childhood, to which Donkey Kong plays psychologist. This is one of the few funny moments in this season. Just when it looks like Scott Masterson turns over a new leaf, Donkey Kong knocks him out and leaves him to be taken away by cannibals. And this is the real last time we see of Scott Masterson. The reason being was that Scott Otter was only able to show up for one day of shooting. Ganon then assigns Pauline to attack Mona. And we finally get to see Waluigi wake up from that stupid coma that Season 4 placed him in. Luigi comes in and tells him that he's been out for almost a year, to which I call bullcrap on that, because Richie, just because these seasons were done nearly a year apart, does not mean that the story time frames within the seasons have to be a year apart. For all we know, it could have been done a month apart. A year just sounds way too ridiculously long for Super Mario Bros. In this particular case. Darkness advises Ken to bury the hatchet with Ryu since, let's face it, their respective leaders have put aside their differences, so they should too. Pauline and Mona confront each other, and for the first and only time in Super Mario Bros. History, we get to see a cat fight take place. But sadly, even that doesn't redeem the season much. Donkey Kong arrives in the nick of time to stop Pauline from killing Mona. Pauline feels conflicted since they were in a relationship last season and leaves. Waluigi has to train to regain his strength, which I'll admit is a little bit understandable. Ness comes to warn Ryu and Ken that a small group of ninjas defied orders and went with Blair for an upcoming attack, so they should go to assist Solid Snake. Mario, Gary, and Brock arrive at Professor Oak's place. He says the UPS man has not shown up with the flash drive yet. And with that said, how the hell did Luigi know that Oak would have an answer if it didn't reach him? What if it was intercepted by the enemy? That tends to happen a lot in warfare. So we get more pointless filler of them looking for the UPS man. So much for, what can Brown do for you? Now it's just a waste of our time thanks to him not doing his job. So they find him and Oak says that the only way to kill Ganon is with the Master Sword, so they had to go to Hyrule to find it. I'll talk more about that later. Episode 69 is where the season hits its lowest point, especially with the writing. Snake, Ryu, Ken, some pirates fight Blair and some ninjas. And this is where I lose all respect for Solid Snake in this web series. Once again, he stupidly doesn't use his gun to shoot Blair first chance he gets. Instead, he gets tripped, Blair takes his gun, and shoots Snake. How fucking stupid. Snake is a combat soldier. He should know that in situations like these, shoot first, ask questions later. Now, I approached Richie about this, and he said, "Oh, Snake's not a cold-blooded killer." And my response was, "Oh, really? Then tell that to the Genome soldiers or this random ninja he shot at point-blank range." The point is, though, Snake shooting Blair first chance he gets is not cold-blooded murder. Let's put it this way. If Blair put both hands up and said, "I surrender," and then Snake shot him, then it'd be cold-blooded murder. Then he tries defending it by saying, "Well, he was trying to capture him alive." If that's true, then Snake should have shot him in the knee and above the ankle. It certainly doesn't kill an opponent, it just brings them down. And for the record, why would you need to take him alive? Blair doesn't have any vital information that our heroes need, especially since Waluigi kills him right afterwards, so that rationale has no validity. On top of that, sometimes a hero has to shoot first, like Indiana Jones, Rooster Cogburn, or Han Solo before George Lucas notoriously decided to ruin that scene with that same kind of bullshit thinking.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
Also, it's a war they're in. Like I said, it's kill or be killed. It's good to take advantage of that fact anytime you depict some kind of war, fiction or non-fiction. This was just so contrived that it astounds me that this was in the episode.
My goodness, those are the things that upset me.
Now, the only bright side to this episode is the fact that Waluigi comes in, kills Blair in a very badass way. See, I told you he could have either taken down the trifecta single-handed, or at least with others providing backup, and there's the proof. So Snake's not dead, he's just out for the rest of the season. Personally, I was hoping he was dead for his stupidity in that battle. And I hate the fact that Richie took away Solid Snake's grit.
Is that what they call grit in Fort Smith? We call it something else in Yale County.
Later, Waluigi starts having a narcolepsy running gag that gets old and overused more so than the crappy fart jokes in Season 4, and that's saying a lot. Meanwhile, Wario talks with Mona, and Mona being upset with Wario not being able to back her up at the time of Pauline's attack, she just complains, and leaves for stupid-ass reasons. Hey Mona, get this through your head. You knew the risks when you started participating in this war with the group, so quit bitching about it. But she still leaves, and this upsets Wario. Yeah, this caused a lot of fan backlash, and it escalates further on an unprecedented level. So sometime after that, Wario walks off. Luigi asks where he's going. Wario says he's leaving, all because his girlfriend walked out on him for stupid reasons. Oh, boo-hoo, Wario, suck it up! Also, you don't tell your acting commander that you're deserting the war effort, because if you said that to Georgia's Patton, this is what he'd say.
I ought to shoot you myself, you goddamn bastard. Get him out of here! Send him up to the front! You hear me? You goddamn coward!
It would have worked better if it had something to do with Wario's family back home in trouble, sort of like what made most men desert the Confederate Army in the Civil War. That would have been understandable. Hell, that's what made Devilan's Hatfield desert the army in the show Hatfields and McCoys. But in this case, it turns Wario into a whiny little bitch.
You know, it's not worth it being with you. It's not.
So Mario, Brock, and Gary arrive in Hyrule to look for the Master Sword. Ryu and Ken have fun playing like they're kids again until they get attacked and injured by ninjas. Yoshi and Donkey Kong get attacked by Noxdesius. For the record, I was not there when they filmed that scene due to poor communications and last-minute notices. I had to split some of the scenes with Austin and Nick Lanetta. He was one of the decent ninjas. If I was there at that scene, I would have recommended that they try to block it or something instead of just taking that blast like a bitch. So Mario and the others find the Master Sword and try and pull it out.
This sucks! We came all the way over here and it's protected by some stupid magic or something!
Something tells me Julian wasn't acting in that scene. And we see the appearance of Merlin talking to Mario telepathically, saying that he must... Well, let me just play the damn clip.
Wizardry will help strengthen your spirit. I'm hoping it will be enough to take the sword. It may forget Link.
Yeah, I'm sure I speak for everyone when I call bullcrap on that, because it's pretty well established in a popular franchise like The Legend of Zelda that only Link can pull out the Master Sword, and all your psychobabble bullshit isn't gonna make people buy into Merlin's method. So Brock and Gary leave Mario alone for Mario to quote-unquote train to pull the Master Sword out, when really it's just more pointless filler. So blah blah blah, Decius contemplates his battle with darkness, blah blah blah, Bowser and Ganon just stand and talk, blah blah blah, Waluigi wastes more screen time with the dead horse gag, and the same applies with Zubashi and Gangles. We hit yet another problem in this season. Darkness relieves the General. Why? What did he do?
You have a wife and kids, right? Well, sir. Well, nothing. You are no longer in my service.
Oh, that is Bull crap! You don't relieve your commanders before a big battle. That's like if FDR for no real reason decided to relieve General MacArthur the day before the invasion of Leyte, or relieve Admiral Nimitz the day before the Battle of Midway. If that happened, it would have jeopardized World War II in the Pacific.
For the first time in military history, a commander has been denied the use of his military power to safeguard the lives of his soldiers and the safety of his army. It leaves me with a sense of inexpressible shock.
The only ways this would have made sense was if the general went against Darkness's orders, therefore giving Darkness a good reason to discharge him on the grounds of insubordination, or if he failed miserably coordinating troops. Good God, this war really is run by disorganized hippies. Am I really the only one who has an aptitude for military history and knows how to act on that knowledge? Warrior spots a ninja and interrogates it for answers.
Ganon plans to merge this world with the Dark Realm.
You know, I was hoping the ninja would take a cyanide tablet so he wouldn't have given away the answers and Warrior would get the idea that he should return to the fighting or something like that. So now we come to the season finale, the last episode of Stupid Mario Brothers. It was delayed for 2 weeks and it's the longest episode ever, 1 hour and 8 minutes long. The episode starts off with some backstory on Merlin and Noxdesius before Noxdesius turned to the dark side. We do get to see some nice nodbacks with the Nether emblems back in Season 2. I'll admit it's a nice touch. So as time progresses, their relationship turns south to the point where they must fight each other. This reveals why Noxdesius wears the mask. As I said before in the Season 2 review, Richie had a clip on his YouTube at the time showing Merlin burning off Decius' face with a lightsaber. However, the lightsaber in that clip was green. Now in this, it's yellow. But I'm not complaining. Maybe it was an inside joke or something. Noxdesius created the darkness in its purest form to help him locate the Truth Stone to provide him immortality. Then 975 years pass, and Noxdesius comes to meet with Bowser over matters of the Mario Brothers around the time frame of Yoshi's Island.
The babies will be destroyed. They will not be a threat to you or me.
Brah, 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 brah.
On a little family vacation, I will take care of them once the plane lands.
Okay, in Yoshi's Island, Kamek ambushed the store carrying Mario and Luigi when they were babies. Kamek captured Luigi, but Mario fell on Yoshi's Island, and it was Yoshi that broke the fall.
Oh, I can't thank you enough for saving my descendants, Yoshi. Without my family, this world has no hope. I wasn't strong enough to save the parents, too.
What? What?
So after I saved the babies and teleported them to Yoshi's Island, the plane was gone. I know Kamek was able to kidnap one of them, but thanks to you, they're both now safe. You risked your life, Yoshi, and that's something I'll never forget. Yoshi! I'll raise them myself, and then one day, they will protect this world, and finally put an end to Bowser, Ganon, and even Nox.
So not only this retcon ruins Stupid Mario Brothers, this also raises further questions. 1. Since when did Merlin have offspring in the Arthur trilogy in which the lineage would pass on to this generation? 2. If Merlin said he'd raised both of them, how come Mario and Luigi in Seasons 2 and 3 act like they've never seen him before? 3. If Merlin raised Mario and Luigi, then he must have done one terrible job of raising kids and teaching them the importance of being a hero, especially if one is destined to be a quote-unquote chosen one. Mario and Luigi have been terrible heroes. They've been isolationists towards the Mushroom Kingdom since the show's inception, although to be fair, it worked to the show's advantage at first. It was done terribly starting at Operation Blindstorm. Remember when I used an FDR radio speech from before Pearl Harbor when he was telling the American people that they would likely have to get involved for the good of mankind? They slacked off numerous times, stole Solid Snake's prescription just to try and woo a potential one-night stand. They joined the Mafia, stole from their friends, pinned the blame on Ash in a very malicious way, even by Stupid Mario Brothers standards. They didn't take responsibility for their mistakes, nor did they ever admit that what they did was wrong and felt remorse about that. I think a wise wizard would have taught them better. Trust me, I've seen Sword in the Stone. So anyway, Mario continues his so-called training with getting constant praise from Merlin. Then he teaches him how to contact Luigi telepathically, and it works well, slightly. Wario returns to Luigi and apologizes for walking out on him at a crucial time, and tells Luigi what he knows. So the pirates wake up Captain Morgan with the use of recycling older Richard Alvarez videos, i.e. Pirate Crunch. So Wario tries that with Waluigi, and it looks as if it works, but just as you'd expect, the narcolepsy gag continues. Then Waluigi reawakens and tries to have a friendly moment with Wario. Then he tries explaining Solid Snake's stupidity in 69.
Snake did great. He just forgot to take his pills before the battle.
Okay, but how could Snake forget his bulletproof vest?
He was wearing his bulletproof vest.
Say what? Then how did he get shot?
Ever since Liquid survived Snake's gunshots, he's been loading his gun with armor-piercing rounds.
I see. And Snake was shot with his own gun. But wait a minute, wasn't his gun only supposed to work for him?
You mean the ID print handle?
Right.
Well, Snake had that feature removed because Foxdie changes his DNA, constantly changing his fingerprints.
Wow, now it all makes sense.
Actually, it doesn't, Wario. 1. This doesn't explain why Snake didn't shoot Blade the first chance he had despite his military training. 2. How does the ID print thing work if Solid Snake is wearing gloves? 3. If Foxdie could change one's DNA constantly and change one's fingerprints, then why even have that feature on a gun? It sounds like it would be completely worthless in battle. And 4. How does Waluigi know all this? Waluigi and Solid Snake never once shared a scene together throughout the course of SMB. Trust me, I've sat through all the episodes. They never once shared a scene. I wish they did. Waluigi falls asleep again and is quickly back up. Again.
Sorry. I realize that's probably getting really old.
Old? Who could get tired of you?
I don't know. Cynical assholes.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Who was that insult directed towards? You could say it's directed at me, but here's the thing. I pretty much spoke for everybody when I said this show got old really fast. We were sick to death of the running gag, not the character. There's a difference. And for the record, Richie, if you're going to insult somebody, especially somebody who's done so much for you over the course of 3 years out of the goodness of their heart, yet you've done so little in return for that person, do it properly, because was that really the best insult you could think of?
Oh, a public school prig could do better than that.
Because if you're looking for trouble on the basis of failure to take constructive criticism well, I'll accommodate you. Otherwise, leave it alone. So Waluigi exposits more about darkness and falls asleep one last time. Talk about being a dead horse. This is where I really felt sorry for Doug Orfino, because here's a great actor being brushed aside like yesterday's sawdust. The pirates and ninjas have another battle. Wario notices the pirates are losing ground and goes to assist them. Noxdesius shows up and he and Wario for the first time have a lightsaber duel. Shortly after, Noxdesius hits Wario with a powerful dark energy attack. Then Wario is saved by Darkness. Decius and Darkness have their long-awaited duel. Mona comes back to take him back to Naomi Hunter to receive medical attention. Luigi and Bowser have their fight in the same field at the beginning of the season. Decius and Darkness kill each other at the same time and both die. Good riddance to both of them. So Mario is still unable to pull out the Master Sword. Merlin says he'll merge his spirit with Mario. Darkness also says he'll merge his spirit too. And then we finally get to see the long-awaited return of Link, still played by Kent Melville. It's great to see him again. Link says he'll merge his spirit with Mario to enable him to pull out the Master Sword. To be fair, you saved yourself from one less bullshit cop-out. Bravo. Captain Morgan's build-up for the entire season has serious, pitiful payoff. So pitiful that it makes Zubashi and Gangles just leave since there's no more fighting for them. Mario arrives to face Ganon. He has Merlin's coat and gloves, Darkness's trench coat and steel-toed boots, and Link's Master Sword. I'll admit, Mario does look a little badass in that attire. Ganon exposits that he killed Merlin, not Noxdesius. This raises yet another question, but we're almost done, and I want one less thing to address when I discuss the themes, damn it. Mario and Ganon have a duel, and for the first time, it's not with lightsabers, but with actual swords. Mario ultimately kills Ganon. We get a montage of storylines being brought to a close. Two are sort of worthy of merit. One is the fact Donkey Kong and Pauline get married, with Yoshi as the best man, and the other is that Waluigi's dead horse narcolepsy gag finally ends. Thank God. Mario and Luigi grow their mustaches back, and they decide to return to the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario has a nice little soliloquy. They walk off, and Stupid Mario Bros., despite its ups and downs, finally comes to a close. Stupid Mario Bros. Season 5, I'm sorry, but to me it has a lot of missed opportunities. It has a lot of bad filler, a lot of plot holes, and more annoyances, even more so than Season 4. It had a real lack of vision.
You have paid the price for your lack of vision.
It just feels rushed and not thought out. And may I remind you all that it was released 1 year after Season 4? I was more than willing to help with ideas for Season 5 to make it the best ever, and if they gave me a chance, the season would have been completed by last December. But who does he think he is? Sergeant York trying to take on the Germans his damn self?
No cooperation at all.
I see myself like George S. Patton and Richie as Bernard L. Montgomery.
Hell, I know I'm a prima donna. I admit it. What I can't stand about Monty is he won't admit it.
One of the season's biggest problems in terms of missed opportunities is that it's a war of no consequences. Sure, only 6 heroes got injured, but a lot of times they could have avoided that if they showed some effort and took this quote-unquote war seriously. I mean, the fate of the world was at stake, and yet they treat it like it's some kind of inconvenience taking place in their neighborhood. They should have just ditched the whole pirate and ninja bullshit, and it should have been our heroes finding themselves severely outnumbered by an army of seemingly endless sprites. The house could have been besieged and they'd have to fight on all fronts, but then the enemy could pull an ace in the hole and gain the upper hand and capture the house, forcing our heroes to retreat and make plans to retake the house and defeat the main villains. That was my idea for Season 5, but they never listened to me. Ganon was one of the lamest villains in SMB ever. He didn't really do anything, he just stood there acting like a real cinema villain when really he's a video game villain. Nothing about him worked. When Nox Decius was the villain back in Season 2, he was awesome. He was an original villain, and having an original villain call the shots over the other Nintendo villains adds another layer of awesomeness. It opens up a lot of possibilities, but when they extended SMB past Act 2, it ruined it. Darkness was totally overdone and ruined on a similar note. If they were uncertain as to whether Ken could return as Link in a very brief cameo, then Ganon should not have been the main villain at all. It'd be like doing the Avengers without having Thor in it at all to fight Loki, who, may I remind you, was the main villain of that film. Fans at least wanted to see Link and Ganon fight for years, but they were denied that. I had a feeling Kent couldn't come back for more than a brief cameo, so I suggested why not get Eric Porter to be Kent's understudy since he was Link in SNES. Granted, SNES was a machinima flop, but he still would have done a good job. And sometimes you have to make these kind of tough decisions, especially in filmmaking. But that was denied for lame reasons. Richie and Chris said that the season was going to have a lot of villains, and they wanted the fans to list the villains they wanted to see. Well, I read a lot of the comments at the time, and not a single one of them was included in Season 5. I don't recall them saying, "I want original pajama-wearing Naruto with an identity other than Tsubashi." I don't recall them saying, "I want Pauline wearing a black dress to make it obvious." And I certainly don't recall them saying, "I want Blair revived, but I want him brushed off to the side." You see what I'm getting at? So, what was the point of asking them that if you weren't going to go along with it? Yeah, it had villains, but they were terrible villains and mostly reused villains. What irks me is that whenever I approach them about things that don't work, they try raising good points, but I counter that with more points in the argument that they don't address. And they suck at debating and reinforcing their arguments. I know it sounds like nitpicking, but you shouldn't half-ass your films, especially if you aspire to be a great filmmaker. It's the little things that can go a long way, and if you give it integrity, consistency, and effort, you'll go far. Naomi Hunter was rather bland, and her English accent didn't convince me. Snake and Naomi kissing at the end really came out of nowhere to me, and what puzzles me is how come Wario and Mona never shared a good kiss like that? How come Waluigi and Walgina never shared a good kiss like that when they were together? They had good romance, whereas Snake and Naomi didn't really have a romance. And I don't care if it was evident in any of the damn games. There was no reference to those moments if there were any in the show. Let me go over another reason why I never liked the last-minute inclusion of Part 6 in Act 2. That didn't occur to me until Seasons 4 and 5. In Season 3, Merlin said that there were two halves of the Chosen One, Mario and Wario. Wario was destined to defeat Darkness, and Mario was destined to defeat Nox Decius as Mr. L through Luigi. But by making that cop-out revival, it ruined that concept. It made it completely pointless considering that Darkness and Decius kill each other. What was the point of having that so-called Arthurian prophecy in SMB if they weren't going to stick to it? However, they could have stuck to it if the movie ended after the defeat of Mr. L like it was originally planned. Act 1 and Act 2 were supposed to tie up all the loose ends of Season 3, not create tons more and add it with plot holes and cop-outs. Don't believe me? Richie and Chris said so in their old update videos from 3 years ago prior to Act 2. Please, explain yourselves. I never thought I'd be put in a position to say this, but now I know how Plinkett felt when he reviewed the Star Wars prequels. I hate to say this, but this review now feels like a trial, in which case the creators are the defendants. I don't really like that idea. I'm an actor, artist, writer, online reviewer, movie buff, and history buff, not a lawyer. But when you've analyzed all kinds of movies and TV shows, good and bad, it's no trick applying that kind of thinking and analysis to a web series on YouTube. I've now sat through 115 Super Mario Bros. Videos on YouTube. I feel like I accomplished something no one else would have thought of, so for that I'm quite proud of. And so folks, that was History of Super Mario Bros. Thank you so much for joining me on this retrospective look on the Nintendo-based web show that Richard Alvarez created. I'm sure you have your own opinions about these seasons, and some might either agree or disagree on my thoughts on its final season. Very few might even overreact and get the wrong idea from this video. But bear in mind this. In the words of Harry S. Truman, I never gave anybody hell. I just told the truth on these fellows and they thought it was hell. When I started these videos, the fans loved the idea of hearing my thoughts on these videos, good or bad. And that's what I'm giving them, my honest thoughts and opinions on these seasons. But these videos also serve as my way of providing Richie with constructive criticism. It's only fair that I return the favor, since way back when Richie and I were in creative writing in high school, he provided feedback and criticism on the earliest writings to my sci-fi work. A lot of what he said at the time at first seemed harsh, but it was true. And that, coupled with challenging myself to improve it, helped me perfect it. And that's a lot better than what it was when I was around 17 years old. But it's ironic now that the tables have turned. Now I'm providing feedback on his videos to which he wrote the scripts to. Despite my complaints this season, there were a few things I liked. I liked the fact that General got to shoot some damn ninjas. I liked the few jokes that did work, like the 6 DUIs joke. I liked that Pauline got to do some more than she did last season, although I wish she had the red dress instead of the obvious black. I liked that Scott Masterson got to make one last appearance. Then I finally got to meet with him in person when we were filming. I liked that Waluigi got to kill Blair. I liked the very last shot in SMB, and I liked the song Game Over, played by Mercedes Avenue. It's arguably even better than the song performed by Gifted But Twisted. So even though I'm done with Super Mario Bros. Altogether, I still have other Nintendo-based web shows that came after this show to review. So join me next time when we break new ground with reviewing the Sprite animated web series, Bowser's Kingdom.
I can't say it 10 times fast. Metal Gear, Metal Gear, Metal Gear.
Will you shut up? The game's not that good, alright? All you did was download the ROMs anyway. You can hardly call yourself a real fan.
Hey, shut up! Sometimes that's the only way you can play them!
Whatever.